Hey, good afternoon, folks. Michael here with Breath Tap, and today is April 4th, Thursday, April 4th, 2024. We're already in full swing to spring. Hope everyone's having a great day. In this tapping video, we're going to do a general tapping on the comfort zone that a lot of us find ourselves in. Everyone does it. Everyone has a certain comfort zone around them in all areas of their life. And for some people, it's very limited and constricting. It's like being in a very tight bubble. Anything outside of that, you're uncomfortable, you're fearful, not willing to do it, not willing to take a step outside of that comfort zone, outside of that bubble. Others have much more expanded comfort zones, right? They're more willing to take risk. They're more willing to try things that are new and novel and exciting that they've never done before. And even if there's a little bit of fear, they still take that step, right? Now, the problem is when we find ourselves too constricted and really stuck in that comfort zone and never challenging it, never stepping outside of it, we find ourselves becoming very complacent. We find ourselves not experiencing life in the manner in which we intend it. We're not willing to take risk. We're not willing to try new and exciting things or go after our passions, our goals, and our desires. And it really takes the expansion of the comfort zone, the ability to step outside of those limitations in order to grow, in order to expand, in order to really experience everything you desire and things even better than that you didn't even think of. And so this came to me through a discussion I had with a family member recently. And from the outside looking in, I was able to see how limited they were. And they really placed very strict limitations on themselves. And just as an example, one of the themes we were talking about was just traveling, just getting in your car and being able to travel somewhere. They weren't willing to do that. And it's not that they weren't capable. They're a fully licensed driver. They've been driving their whole life. They have a car that works and runs. They're not limited as far as, health or anything like that. But they are not willing to travel outside of a certain area within their kind of home zone, their comfort zone. And it's kind of sad because they have so many desires to be more adventurous, to travel to different states and countries, and even to visit us, my family and I, which is a couple hours from them. And they're not even willing to do that just because there's such an underlying fear and limitation they placed on themselves many years ago. And they're not even willing to challenge it. They're just happy with where they're at. And that's fine and all, but if you do become aware of these limitations and you do want to be more expansive and take more risk and really challenge those self-imposed limitations in the comfort zone that you have, then you could really find true freedom by utilizing something like tapping, EFT, and other tools to expand that comfort zone, to challenge your own limiting beliefs, to step outside of that comfort zone, be bolder, be stronger, right? Be a leader to yourself and take those risks. And the funny thing is, one thing I'm going to mention about it before we get into the tapping, and I apologize for such a long intro here, is first of all, these limitations, these comfort zones, are all really rooted in fear. The fear can be coming from a numerous different places, aspects, variables, different times in one's life, childhood, different experiences, trauma, right? So it could be rooted in many different areas. It could be multifaceted. And it's all self-imposed by the mind. And the subconscious mind has formed patterns to think and act in a certain way that keeps you stuck in that comfort zone for safety, essentially, because of that fear that you have. So one thing to keep in mind is, number one, if you are challenged by your own self-imposed limitations and comfort zones and you want to expand that, remember that we suffer more in our mind than we do in reality. So let that just sink in for a moment. What's that mean? That means that the illusion we create from the fear, we can't do this, we can't do that, I'm not willing to take this risk, I'm not willing to do that, I'm not willing to get in my car and drive 2 hours, it's too scary. These are all self-imposed illusions that we create, and it's scarier because of the mind and how it can create emotion and create the fear and create that contracted feeling in the body. And so you essentially are living out this fearful experience, and you're not even doing anything. You're just thinking, right? And so it's kind of wild what the brain can do and the mind can do. Whereas if you actually did get outside your comfort zone, take some sort of action. So let's, as an example, hopping in the vehicle and driving 2 hours that like you've held yourself back from doing for so long, you realize the freedom that exists once you actually take the action and do it. And that all the suffering and fear that you anticipated was actually created by the mind. So you suffer more just thinking about the things that you don't do that you wish you could do because you're afraid to do them, and all the negative things that could potentially happen if you do take a chance to do them. So you actually do suffer more typically in that mindset, in that vicious cycle of negative thinking and fear, than you actually would in actually taking a step to do it, right? That's one thing to keep in mind. Another thing is, there's another saying that, true freedom exists in that cave that you're afraid to enter, right? It's something along that line. Don't hold that to me. It's something along the lines of the cave, that dark cave you're afraid to enter, has true freedom on the other side of it. The saying's something like that, but you get the point. So a lot of this is just self-imposed limitation based on fear. That's where this comfort zone kind of holds you in place and doesn't let you get outside of it. So we're going to do a general tapping session on this right now. And keep in mind, this is very general because this issue of self-imposed limitations, being stuck, the comfort zone, it can be coming from many different directions, many different areas of one's life. It could be certain limiting beliefs, traumas, experiences from the past, from the childhood, right? So many aspects. Now, doing this general tapping, which we're going to do, it could help. It could certainly help with a lot of people. It could at least start to bring maybe some self-awareness, or start to identify those limiting beliefs that do hold you back. So as we go through this tapping, one thing I suggest, take note of things that come up for you. We're going to be very general in our wording and the phrases we use, but something might pop for you as we go through this. You might feel a shift. You might feel some sort of energy moving. You might get a memory, a thought, a vision. Write it down, because that could be where your core issue for you exists, and you can continue working on it on your own. So let's do this. So take responsibility for your own well-being, and let's dive into some comfort zone expansion, or at least starting to head in that direction. So, all right, here we go. I'm going to start by tapping on the karate chop point here. Let's take a nice deep breath in through the nose and let it go. All right. Even though I've been feeling incredibly stuck, I choose to love, honor, and accept myself right now. And even though I've been feeling very complacent, very limited in my life, even in my thinking, and it's a bit frustrating. There's so much more I want to do, but let's face it, I'm afraid. And this fear keeps me stuck. I love, honor, and accept myself anyway. And even though I'm feeling stuck in my life, in my thoughts, fears, and emotions, I'm just not sure how to expand and get outside of this comfort zone that I've been stuck in for so long. I just feel completely anchored like there's cement around my feet, preventing me from moving forward. I love, honor, and accept myself anyway. And I forgive myself. All right, let's start at the top of the head. I feel stuck. This feeling of being stuck and limited. I have this comfort zone, and I'm just unable to step outside of it. Feeling stuck, feeling limited, feeling stuck and limited right now. I can feel it in my body. This feeling of being stuck and limited. Like I'm anchored in cement boots. And I just can't take a step out of it. This feeling of being stuck and limited. It's actually anchored by fear. This fear that keeps me stuck. This fear that keeps me stuck and limited. This fear that keeps me stuck and limited right now. My comfort zone is so small. This small comfort zone. This fear that keeps me stuck and limited in this small comfort zone. I just can't step outside of it. I cannot expand my comfort zone because I'm afraid. Afraid of what? Why am I so afraid to expand myself? What am I afraid will happen? All this fear, all this limitation. Why do I have such fear in taking action? Action that could set me free. Action that can enhance my life. Action that could allow me to learn more about who I really am and what I really want in life. All this fear, all this limitation, this contracted, tight comfort zone. It's like a tight bubble that I cannot expand outward from. This tight, contracted comfort zone. This feeling of being stuck. This feeling of being limited. I just can't expand outside of my comfort zone. Let's face it, I'm afraid. And I'm not afraid to admit it. I am scared of taking risk. What if I fail? What if I try something new and I fail? What if I step outside my comfort zone and it's just too scary and overwhelming? What if I try to do something that I want to do so bad, but I totally fail or get rejected? Or worse, I die. Well, that's pretty extreme. It's funny how powerful my mind is at keeping me stuck. This powerful brain that keeps me stuck in comfort doesn't allow me to take any risk, doesn't allow me to try new things, just keeps me stuck perpetually. This tight comfort zone, this feeling of being stuck. this feeling of being limited, this fear that keeps me stuck in limitation, this fear that keeps me stuck in limitation, well within the comfort zone of my mind. It's scary just thinking about expanding beyond my comfort zone, taking a risk, doing something new. All this fear and limitation, all this fear that keeps me limited and stuck in my comfort zone. Okay, let's go ahead and take a nice deep breath. Just let it go. All right, so we went through several rounds there. Now remember, this was very general. The goal in going through that was to try to drum something up from your subconscious, right? Was there any phrases or words that came up for you? Was there any old memories? Did you have any energy moving? Was there anything that really resonated with you that I said, or any ideas that came to your mind? Whatever it was, write it down, because it's so important to help really dive in deeper to what the core issues are for you. It could be an old memory, it could be an old experience, it could be some trauma, it could be multi-faceted issues, things that have happened over the course of your life that kind of branded your brain and your emotions and kept you stuck. And whatever came up for you, write it down and tap on it on your own. Just listen to yourself intuitively. Keep tapping. If necessary, reach out to a practitioner, an EFT coach, who could really help you flush that to the surface, peel those layers of the onion, and create true freedom in your life. So I hope this was helpful, at least from a general perspective, to start to flush things forward. And if you did experience some sort of freedom or some sort of energy movement that really felt good, which could certainly happen, then let me know in the comments. So I love to hear feedback. But best of luck to you. Remember, you suffer more in your mind than you do in reality. Taking that action is actually going to be less fearful than you think. Once you actually take the action, you're going to feel free. So be bolder, take more action, take those risks, and best of luck to you. I'll catch you later. Have a good one.